Good morning, everybody. Can you just type into the chat that you can hear me all okay? You have got the ability to turn off your turn on your microphones, but if you just leave it off for now until we get to the asking questions, that's going to be cool. Loud and clear, brilliant. Great to see you all. Good to see Tracy, Judy, Heather, Sharon, Donna. So so first of all, I'd like to apologize for and SQL Down Under. Good to see you. Lynn, good to see you. Yeah, I'd like to apologize for last weekend. I was on holiday in Wales, so I kind of got the dates wrong. So I know that caused a bit of confusion. So I sent out a mail today just for you guys so you know what's going on. So it's kind of completely my fault, and I do apologize for that. I kind of forgot I was going on holiday, so I put that date in there and I thought it was after, but it wasn't. So it's all right. We're all on schedule. So hopefully you guys, I don't know where you are in your course creation process, but we're going to go from the beginning. So for some of you that have got things already underway, this might be bit mute lessons coming up because we're building it. So we're starting from a beginner right the way through, and then we're going to tackle more advanced techniques. I'm going to be taking more questions and showing you exactly how to do things in the platform itself. So it's going to be added, this course, this live is going to be added to the NZ Masterclass bundle. So it's going to be in there, one of the boot camps zones of the site, because it's going to be going through. It's, if you like, it's the complete guide to Zenler, but it's live. You know, so, and also I get to talk to you guys. So you're like, well, I need to do this or this situation, especially when we get into kind of the membership sites and how you can do things. So I talked about that 2 weeks ago, about what the course is about. So this first one is planning your site and courses. This is really important. Before we even get into the Zenler platform itself, the longest part of course creating or setting up a membership site is not actually working in Zenler. You can fiddle around with Zenler as long as you like to make things look pretty, but actually getting it working is really, really quick. The longest part of course creation, you probably know, more experienced members, is actually creating the content. So it's important that we plan this. So I'm going to show you how I do it. It's not the only way. Lots of people work with different programs to organize things. I keep things very simple and very linear for me to walk through. So what I'm going to include with this workshop series is called a Course Creators Playbook. So we're going to run through that in a second, but it's going to cover all the workshops. So as we go through, there'll be a new piece added to the PDF. So by all means, download the PDF, but next week you'll download the same PDF to replace the week before, and it will cover weeks 1 and 2 and so on, so on, so on. So this works really well because you guys have got something you can look at. And sometimes you don't need to go through me rambling on about rubbish, you know, that you already know. You just want to get to that bit. What's my homework for this week? What have I got to achieve? So this should be good for you. So if you haven't already, make sure that you're in the accompanying course with this workshop series, because what that means is you'll be in a course where you can communicate with all of each other. And me, I'll jump in there as well and answer any questions that you may have, and you can answer questions amongst yourselves. So it's got a community built with it. So it means you can really get to know each other. So it's almost like networking as well, especially if you're in similar fields. So also inside the course itself is all the replays. So this replay tomorrow will be going into the course. And that means that, and you also have on the course access page, you have the lives, so you can just book yourself straight in. So it makes it really easy. You don't have to go through the registration process, and you know that that's happening live on Sunday, same time each week, and it will just run over. So it's really easy for you to follow and organize yourself. Plus you get a bit of communication with your fellow instructors with any struggles. You know, if you're struggling with anything, put it up there. No question is too simple or too silly to put on there. If you've got a question, we need to answer it. You know, and if it's a simple question, it's easy to answer anyway. So you know, any question. It doesn't matter what it is. Well, as long as it's on the Zenler platform, of course. Right. So I'm going to quickly screen share where you need to go to if you're not in the course that accompanies these live workshops. Do make sure that you sign up. So I'm going to put the link inside here, and I'm just going to quickly screen share what you're going to kind of see with this. So this is the accompanying course that goes with all of the lives that we'll be doing every Sunday. So if you miss a live, you can go in there and watch the replay. So you just need to go to that URL I posted inside the chat there. And you'll also see this same link inside the playbook as well. So don't worry. So if we click here, this tells you a bit about it. It's just basically saying about lives and blah, blah, blah. Don't even have to watch it. And you can click join us for free. And you go through, you just register up for this. And then you go into this. So you'll get access to this. And you can see we're running this one now. And you can, next one that's running is this one. So you just click here. Once you're in, you can just one click register. So it'll just go bonk, bonk, and you know, turn up, and you'll see that the live is running. Now down here, you can see this is the one we run on the 7th, the 11th, and that's a replay of the first session that we did. And a little bit of information, you know, if you've got a pen and paper ready to write down notes, really good idea. And there's a copy of a PDF shown in the workshop. Don't contact me on any of this. It's all contained in the course. This is why you need to go into this course. And of course, you've got to use the community as well. So we've got a community associated with this. Any problems with any of that, make sure that you PM me to tell me if something's not working or you can't get access, and I can sort it out for you. This is not part of the NZ Masterclass bundle at the moment. This is separate. This is a secret course. This is to run you guys through all of the workshops. So it's purely for you guys that have signed up for it. So whenever I do a live, then I would expect people to be in here. So I might mention this a few times at the start. Make sure you're in here, make sure you're in here. So just so you know, as this is the first one of our real start the series, it's important that you remember. Okay, so the site we're going to be working on, this is a blank site here, and it's demo.newzenler.com. So if you want to check how things are going in this site, you can jump in there and see if anything's happened in there. And I will put that there. Judy's put, good morning. I'm an absolute beginner in Zenler. Yeah, that's great. That's this is a good place to start then. Obviously, it's going to be different levels. So some of you are not going to be beginners for sure. I know that Greg is not for sure. So good place to start. Some of you might get more benefit from this than others, depending on how long you've been creating or teaching in general. So I'm going to jump into, I'm just going to show you the demo site that I just posted in that link. So here it is here. So this is how we kind of set it up. So you'll notice that you have like all courses. This is what's called a dynamic block. So you see there's no courses in there because we haven't created any courses. When you create a course, they pop up in here in a dynamic block. We'll be talking about dynamic blocks a lot later when we go to how you can change things completely and maybe not even use the dynamic blocks. It's purely up to you. So I'll be going in here. And this is where you've got access. So this is the admin to this. Okay. So you can see I'm logged in as admin there. Now, there's a few things I'm going to talk about that are really, really important. One is testing your site as a student. So we're going to cover that briefly today. I'm going to run through the workshop. We should be running for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I don't know, but I'm not rushing anything. If you've got questions, then I'm going to answer them. So first stop is make sure you're signed up for here. So then you can get access to all the replays and any handouts that we're doing. And I'm going to give you the PDF playbook handout at the end of the session anyway, but it will be in the here after I finish this live. So I'll give you that out at the end. So I'm going to jump into the first part of this, which is showing you the playbook. So this playbook was created in Canva. We're going to learn a lot more about Canva next week, about creating media. We're going to look at a program called Pixlr, and we're going to look at a program, software piece that's tied into Zenler, which is called Pixabay for grabbing images and things. So we're going to be looking at all this stuff, guys. You're going to love it. So I'm going to just present this now. So this is through Canva, by the way. All the stuff I'm doing is through Zenler and through other programs. So you know what you're getting. We don't use any other programs apart from our own. Right, so let me share this. So welcome to the Course Creators Playbook. This is a playbook of all of the features that you're going to see in all the lives. So what we've done is we've separated it all out. So this one is planning, course planning, planning your site, and the next one will be media, and so on and so on. And we'll be building on this playbook, and it will be updated each week inside of the course. So let's go to the first bit and talk our way through it. So let's go. So look, before you even start working inside Zenler, you need a plan. Okay, we all need a plan. So this requires that you look closely at what you want to achieve. You know, you're looking at who your target audience is. Are you going to run this as a membership site, or are you just going to sell courses, or a mixture of both? And do you need room to scale up later? So future-proof it. I'll give you an example. I have a site that I'm selling 3D software on, 3D courses, and I set it up as individual courses. I was just selling them as one-off, and now I've come to a stage where I need to turn that into a membership site, and it's now becoming a bit of a problem because I've got users in the course and I kind of want them in a subscribers membership course, and so it means I have to communicate with them and say, look, join the subscription. Because I didn't think about that before, it's causing me problems later. So it's important that you think what's the quickest way to get to I'm generating money, but how can I upscale later? Okay, so you'll have those questions running through your head, and that's what this is all about, planning what's going to happen in the future, not just now. I know we all like to live for the moment, but you need to think, where are you going to get to? So you need a plan, you need an A, B, C of where you want to achieve, and that you're able to upscale things later, especially if you're thinking of running any kind of subscriptions or membership sites, and how you want that to work, whether you just want to run it as a membership site and that's it, or whether you want to run it as a membership site and also sell those individual courses that you might have in a membership site individually as well. And that will determine how we set the site up. Now, don't have to worry about it too much, because as the workshops go through, you'll understand more, but don't commit to anything too much. If you've already got stuff set up, guys, don't worry, but you might have to jiggle things around to make it work for you. But you need to get that in your head. So I need you to achieve certain things, and I've got a homework section at the end. I'm going to write out a detailed brief of what you want to achieve, like we just said. So who is your target audience? So you can build an avatar. So you guys that don't know about avatar building and stuff, it's a good idea to check out inside the NZ Masterclass bundle. And I'm just going to jump to that now before we get back to this, just so I can show you at each stage what we're doing. So let me go to the tutorial site. So this is tutorials.newzenler.com. You're going to make sure, and hopefully you all are part of the NZ Masterclass bundle. Now I'm a logged in user, so you're actually going to see it. If you haven't logged in, you're going to see it like this. Okay, join this. Tutorials.newzenler.com. Okay, let me just put that in the chat. Okay, and once you log in here, all free, you're going to get access to this. So when you next go to tutorials.newzenler and you're logged in like I am, you're going to be able to click through, and you need to go to this Zenler extras area. And building an avatar, there's a few in here how to build an avatar. There's one in the marketing course that's in the marketing section here, but I would personally just go for Ian Hamilton's one that's in Zenler extras, and it's in the branding and design. You don't need to watch the whole course. You can if you want to, but Ian Hamilton does a branding blitz, and inside here, this one here, this one, are really good. These two here are the ones that you should watch, because he shows how to build an avatar. Now, he's building an avatar for branding, but it's exactly the same process for finding your audience or your market. All right. So make sure that you definitely jump into that one. That's a little bit of a tip for you there. I'm going to jump back to this now. Okay. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to build a simple sitemap. So I'm going to be showing you this. So a simple sitemap can be built. We're going to be looking at this later. We're going to write copy for all of our pages. So, you know, a lot of you with the site itself, you're going to, you know, you're definitely going to have the home page, aren't you? You're definitely going to have a contact us page. You're going to have probably at this stage, because you haven't got any courses, you're probably not going to use your terms and conditions and all of that stuff, but you can. And you might want an about us page or those sort of things. So we can simply build that in a document. We can just, you can even scribble it out on a piece of paper and just write about us, homepage, and then maybe you want a drop down. So with some of your sites later on, you might say, right, okay, well, I want a services or courses, and then underneath that I might want, let's for instance say dog training, how to swim, you know, all these things. You can have a drop down underneath. So building a simple sitemap that we're going to look at in a minute is going to help you. Now, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to simplify the process, so you've got something to go back to, so that when you're working on your site, you've got a clear plan. You do not want to get this blank canvas sort of, or white snow effect, where you're looking at something and just sitting there wondering what you're going to do. By taking this proactive action to actually action these little things that are going on, we're breaking the site up and the course into mini little areas. This means it's easy for your mind to not get overwhelmed, because you're working on one little thing at a time. Now, the one little thing you're working at a time, after you've done them all, will make it one big whole thing. So we're trying to sort of simplify the process for you. Next, we've got to write the copy out for the pages, and that's matching the sitemap. So when you create your site pages, so you're going, all right, I need a home page, I need an about us page, maybe I need another page for something else. Then I've got that as a sitemap. Now I need to write the content for that page. So then I can write my content for that page. So I've got my sitemap built, I've got my page content built, not my images and making it look brilliant. We're just talking about the copy for it, the most important thing, bit of information that people read. So have a clear filing structure so it's easy to find assets. Really important, this. So many people scatter things, and you've probably seen it all the time. I don't know what your desktop looks like, but 80% of the time, people that don't use computers for business all the time have files scattered over their desktop. So give me a yes if you've got more than 20 things scattered on your desktop on your computer. That'd be interesting to hear. So yeah, yes, yeah, it happens full of stuff. And is it always hard to find things? Yeah, because you don't know where they are. Probably some of those things you haven't looked at for more than a month. So if you create an organized structure, then it will be all over. It will be clearer for you to find. So I'm going to show you folder structure. So we're going to have one folder. It's going to contain all of our stuff that we need to work with our site and our courses. And you can build on it. I'm also going to show you, how many videos Zenler has. I'm going to show you my filing structure for the Zenler to show you how quick it is for me to find videos. And I don't mean just the videos, I mean the source edited videos. I can get to all that information, all the thumbnails that are created and anything that goes with it is really quick for me to find because of the folder structure. And it's not a hard folder structure to follow. It's just a folder with folders inside. And that's where my stuff is, and that's it. So Heather's laughing. Yeah, so I know that because I see it all the time. So next thing we're going to look at is design a logo for your site. So for the designer logo, next week, we're going to be going into the media creation. So we're going to be looking at creating cool media, and for you to get media savvy, because at the end of the day, you have a site. You're not just going to fill it with text. You're going to want to put exciting images. You're going to be looking at other sites and go, wow, I wish my site was as good as that, to give yourself an idea of what you want to achieve. So having control of media, and it's not hard. It's not hard, guys. We're not talking about photo retouching or anything like that. We're talking about doing simple effects to make your site look great, right? So you don't have to get worried that you're going to be relearning brand new things. This stuff is very simple to do. We can use Canva to do a lot of it. We've got lots of free images we can use. We're not talking about creating your own graphics or anything like that. Of course, you can get a designer to do it for you, or if you want to play around and do it yourself, you can. Next week, we're going to talk about all that stuff. So we're going to build up, get our little folder together, so we're all ready to just jump into Zenler and start putting things in place lightning quick. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about choosing your primary and secondary colors for your site. So again, don't get overwhelmed by this. Normally it will be from your logo. So if we come up with a design for our logo, we might pick colors from the logo. If you look at the Zenler logo, for instance, we use a lot of the orange and the blue, and sometimes the gray and black. So that's kind of our primary colors that we're using. And then we might dip into secondary colors, which will be lighter shades of the orange, which might be a yellow, to a lighter blue, to lighter grays. So there you go. That's kind of our color palette. You can see it really straight away, all derived from our logo. Okay. So we're going to choose a heading and body fonts and their respective size. So in the next page, I'll show you an example. So we're going to move on to the next page. Again, you can download this. I'll give it out at the end. So this is a case study. This is kind of what I need you to do. And I've got homework at the end of this section. So I've got a detailed brief. It's not really a detailed brief. It's a brief. So we're going to be doing a dog training school. So we could do anything here. So I've put here, I will start by running a series of self-contained courses, but I want to be able to turn this into a membership site later and also offer one-to-one live coaching sessions via Zoom. Need to find a good domain name. So I need to call it something, .com. And that's what I'm thinking now. So this is my homework for it. And it should be a fun site with a happy, fresh feel, because it's training and we want it to seem fun, you know. So maybe a cartoon kind of side, dogs and things, could work for this. And I've already got colors that I've got in mind. So that is a really brief, but it gives me a lot of information. Just that little paragraph of text there tells me what I'm planning to do in the future. It tells me what I'm going to do straight away to get it off the ground. And it tells me that I need to action something like find a domain. And it also gives me a feel of the site by saying it's happy and a fresh feel. So you can see just one paragraph can sum it up in a nutshell. Now, I haven't analyzed the avatar in so much, but I have in the target audience. So we go underneath and it goes dog owners, active lifestyle, mid to high range salary. So I don't want to be selling the courses for like $5 or something. I want to kind of at least to be selling at 50, maybe 30 to 50, maybe 100, that kind of range for kind of mid to high range salary earners, from about the age of 25 to 60, because under that age, they probably haven't got the money to spend on this, and they're probably not as dedicated to training their dog, not in all cases, but in some. So 25 to 60 years of age group, USP. So this is my unique selling point. So what have I got that no one else has? Now, by the way, this is a case study. I'm not an expert dog trainer or anything. I've never done it in my life. I've read books on it, but this is not what I do. So I'm going to say that my unique selling point is I specialize with dogs with anxiety. Okay. And maybe I'm an expert in that. That's me. That's what I'm trying to sell, you know? So that gives me a start of where I am. So here we go now to the sitemap. So what we're going to start with. To start with our sitemap, we're going to have a home page, about us page, and a contact us page. That's it. That's my site done. Okay, but later on, I want to add the courses that I'm adding in there, or the membership that I'm adding in there. So I'm going to have a sitemap to be added later, and I'm going to put in there a behavioral services. It's going to have a homepage, about us, contact us. Then I'm going to have behavioral services, anxiety, toilet training, behavior on and off lead, and advanced tricks, and getting dogs to spin and jump and things like that, for the courses. So your courses, that's in your courses. So your courses automatically get set up. So when someone joins, they click your courses and all their courses come up. And we've got join a membership community. So we're going to have a membership community, maybe to bring people in free. So it will be an open community. And we'll also be having a community tied to the course areas like anxiety, toilet training. We can have a separate community for each of those if we want to. And they're going to be later on, they're going to be able to book one-to-one sessions. Now, why have I done this? I've done this to make it really flexible for me to do these live Sunday trainings. I've covered everything that you guys could want. So I'm going to be changing the site as we're going through, because it then covers everything that you guys are going to want to need or want to know about. So we need copy for the initial sitemap pages. So please find all copy in separate, please file all copy in separate files inside a folder called dog training folder page copy. Okay, so I'm going to show you my folder structure that I've already got set up. So I've got filing structure, all assets to be found in dog training folder. So logo, I'm going to just cover these two first. I'm going to show you the folder. Here's the folder here. Let me just open it up. It's just on my other screen. So here's the folder. So this is my file structure. This is one folder on my desktop because I'm currently working on this project. And inside here, I'm going to have all my course files in this folder. So any courses I create are going to go in a folder here. So there'll be a folder in there called anxiety, dog training, behavioral, and all the files, assets are going to be in there. Now, I also have another folder in here called images. So any images I'm using are going to appear in here as well. And I have logo assets. So you can see I've started to create some stuff in here. So this is my logo assets and other bits. Then I have page copy. Now these workshop assets, these are purely for the workshops because I'm running this for Zenler. So this is just Zenler workshop assets, but I started building it already. Do you notice this? Started building these assets already for you guys. This is where this recording is going to go into, and it's going to be in that folder. So I know in that root folder, all my assets for these live Sundays are going to be in here in the dog training folder. So I've kept it organized. So I'm kind of running a course inside a course. And next one, and this is the important one here, page copy. So I've got page copy, and I'm going to open this up and just show you quickly what I've done. So this is, I've got my pages. I know holding page. This is, we're going to talk about this later. We got welcome to logo. We are side notes. Then I've got homepage. So I've done it as one document. So my copy for the homepage is I've labeled it homepage copy here, and then I've just put my copy for that page in there. So this is Lorium text. Obviously, you'd write your copy out. Next, I go on to the About Us page, and I have my copy in here for this. And I can paste it in there. Then I have contact us and maybe a form in there as well. So I've laid it out so I know where everything is. I know my page. You can make multiple documents up if you like. Try to not use an editor like Word. Just use a kind of plain text like WordPad, which is what I've used here. Because when we copy it, we don't want to take any of the styles when we drop it, when we copy and paste it into our site. We don't want it to take any of the styles on from something like a Word document. This is important. Okay, so we have our page copy in there, but you can see how simple this structure is. Now, while we're on that subject, I'm going to quickly jump into like the Zenler stuff. I've got tons of things going on in here. So if I go to Zenler data all, you're going to see that I have loads of folders but I know where everything is for this site because all of these are in the NZ Masterclass bundle. Okay, so if I go to something like ethically copy a site, I have all these files for each of the sections of the site. And inside here, like the Amy Porterfield one, I have my documents inside here. Everything's named the same. So for lecture 1, you'll see here, I have this thumbnail for it. Then I have the source video that I created. And then I have the edited video in here. So these 3 files are for one output, which is in the render section of the course. So I've made it really clear. So this is all my source content. And then when it's output, for in this case from Camtasia, the actual output, the final output of it is put into a folder called render. You could call this final, whatever you like. I call it render because when you're pushing stuff out from an editing program, it's called a render. So it renders the file out. So I label it render. I know these are all the files for that particular course. And they're labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So I always label them. So if we go back to even getting more complex, if I go into the Zenler videos, you're going to see I've got all my Zenlers, all my Zenler FBHs, which are on our YouTube channel. So this is exactly the same thing. You're going to see the file structure in here is the same. And I have a render folder in here as well. This is a little bit more complex, this one, because some of them were complicated videos. So I had them in folders, like I did a roadmap one. So I put this particular Ask Zenler in another folder called roadmap, but I know where all the stuff is. See there? Source, this is in the output files. And in there, I've got my source, and you can see those 3 files, the intro, the actual video, the Camtasia file. And if I go back and I go into rendered, that's the final output there. So it's really organized, and you can see how many files I've got inside here. You know, there's probably thousands of media files for different stuff that we've done. And this file alone contains lots, hundreds, yeah, of files inside here. So, but I know where they are. So if I go on to someone says, oh, there's an error in one of your videos on our Zenler, I can quickly go, oh, which one's that? Sitemap creation? Oh, it's that one. I can go into that video. I can just look at the video, edit it if I need to, re-output it and re-upload it. And it's really quick for me to find. Now imagine if I had this many files scattered on my desktop. I just wouldn't function. So you need to make sure that everything is organized into folders, so it's nice and clear for you to proceed. Does that make sense, guys? What's a render? Render is normally an output of something. So you render an image, or you render a video. That's what that means. Do you use tags to help find things later? Oh, you could do, but that's what search is for. So you can search your computer, search per folder. But I don't need to. Why would I need to use search? I've labeled everything so easy to find for myself because I know the structure I'm working with. I don't need to use search. I know where it is. It's like you say to me, oh, that video in our Zenler that you did that's called this, I can just go in there and find it. Yeah, so brilliant. Yeah, WordPad, really good as well to make sure you just use something that's not going to, you don't want to, you know, you're using Zenler to format it, make it, choose the font, the color and all this stuff. You don't want to do that inside of something like WordPad or anything else, you know, or any kind of illustration program like Illustrator or anything, because you're taking a plain text, basically. You're just copying the text and pasting it into the site later. So good. I think you're all happy, because otherwise you'd be asking more questions on here. So we'll move on. So the next one is the logo. So you might be getting your logo designed. Who's got a logo already? Who hasn't got a logo? I do not. So Camille hasn't. Yes, I have one. Oh, great. So you guys that have got a logo, you're in a good position, because you can probably start to use the colors from that logo, and that can dictate what the colors of your site are going to look like. So I have my logo and my branding colors. So Judy's well on top of it. So Inga doesn't. So sometimes the color selection is limited. No, there's no limitation on colors inside Zenler. I can show you though, Lim, no problem. You can just click in. You probably don't know how to find the palette where you can move the colors around. Basically, when you're looking at a web page, it uses what's called hexadecimal numbers. We'll look at them in a minute. So that's how it creates the colors for a monitor, okay? Not print. You could use RGB colors as well, but I'm not going to get into that. So a lot of you've got logos together. For you guys that haven't got a logo, you might want to find a designer. You can find designers on places like Upwork. Other people maybe in the community, if you guys that have got logos, suggest or tell people where you got them from, and that'll help people get a logo designed. If you want to design the logo yourself, next week we're going to be playing around. You see that doggy logo thing that I created? It took about 10 minutes, and I just put that. I just did that in Canva. So we're going to look at that next week, and we're going to look at the logo inside here in a second. So from the logo generally, and this is for a beginner's tip here, to make it easy for you, if you're not a designer, then if you've got a logo, you can pull colors from the logo and use them as the primary colors. And then you can choose secondary colors like I talked about for the Zenler logo. And that will then give you a starting point. You might adjust them when you're in there, and you might adjust the branding sheet that I'm going to show you in a second as you're going along, but it will give you a place to start. Remember, we're trying to give you, make your life easier at this stage by breaking things down into little chunks. Yeah, that's good. So font types, of course, a font type. Now, for beginners doing any kind of beginner designers, before you're starting to go mad with your fonts, what I suggest is you do not choose more than 2 fonts or even 1, and you keep them consistent. So I see this all the time with sites. Check your site. If you've already started creating your site, check that your fonts are, that you know what your fonts are, and see if you've got more than 2. I bet as a beginner, you have got more than 2. Okay, that's one of the single biggest mistakes, is one, choosing too many different types of font on a page and different sizes. So one heading will be that big, and another heading will be that big and that big and that big, and it's just and then some are italicized and some are underlined and some are red and some are blue, you know, and and you look in the site and you go through the pages, and if you look at it with fresh eyes, you'll go, this site doesn't look the same throughout because it's not consistent. So by keeping things consistent, if you saw a day with Zenler that I run, it's on the Facebook group, the session 1 that was run at 9 AM on Friday. If you check that one out, I just talked briefly about simple design techniques, like simple skills that you can use that will make your sites look much, much better if you're making those mistakes, such as inconsistent sizes, too many different font types when you don't really know what you're doing. You know, don't get me wrong, if you do this stuff all the time, you could have multiple fonts, but they work together. And that's a design, from a design eye point of view. Okay. But if you're not a designer, then the easiest thing for you to do is keep it simple, right? Keep consistent with colors for the headings, font size, font type for the heading, and the same for body text and any subtitles or strap lines or anything you've got. So this is, what is a font? A font is what you're seeing. So a type. Yeah, keep it simple. Yeah, I don't like to say the end part, stupid. Keep it simple, stupid. Just keep it simple. Okay. All right. So yeah, so that's these are key points, so it makes it easier. And what we're trying to do, as I mentioned before, is just break it down so it's very simple to follow. So let's move on to this one. So this again is a bit of a case study on what I'm thinking about for the dog site. So for a starting point for my colors, I'm going to be using this kind of calming blue. I want a kind of nature feel, so I'm going for earth brown and a kind of limey green for kind of trees and things. Maybe a little bit of impact with the red. Don't try not to use red too much. It does symbolize warning. It can be quite powerful if used correctly. So also we have a grey as well. Now stay away from pastel colors. So pastel colors are like ones that are muted, so they're kind of like as if you've put green and white together and you've got that pastel color. Pastel colors clash with each other. Okay, so try and stay away from those clashy pastel colors, creamy colors. You can keep it more vivid. I'm already looking at this and going, well, black will work on that blue, white will work on that blue, you know. Wouldn't put the green on the blue because that would look terrible, but I could use the grey on the green and the grey on the white. So I'm always looking, as I look at this, I'm looking at ways I can mix it up. But you can play with this stuff when you're in the site, it's no problem. Next, I have what's called hexadecimals. Now, next week, we will be looking at creating this sheet like this, so don't worry. But I have the hexadecimal colors for it, and you can enter these straight into Zenler. These are the color codes that make up these colors. Okay, that's all it is. And I've chosen a font type. So I'm going to go for one font type. And this might change. This is just, I just put this together to just give me an idea of where I'm going, but things can change. So I've just chosen one. I've just used a simple Open Sans. The reason I've chosen Open Sans in the Zenler system is I have lots of font options to choose from. I have like, I have light, I have like condensed, I have extra bold, semi-bold, regular, italicized. I have a lot of choice of fonts with this particular one font. Okay, but you might want to choose differently. So I've got heading here, subheading. So subheading is going to be in this gray color. Heading is going to be in the black, but that could change. If it's in a colored box, I might change it to a white. And then I've got my body type as well. Now, something really important to take note of is the line height. This is something people don't do a lot. And the line height is the height between the lines of text. So you can increase or decrease the lines of text. And that's the line height. And you can set that inside Zenler, because inside Zenler, we give you the flexibility to change pretty much everything. All right. So I'll be talking about that. Generally, what I go is 2 to 5 points over the size of the font. But I've seen people before do like 18 pixel for this. This should be body, by the way, for this body size. And then they've put like 30 for the line height. So you get these massive, great drops between the text. So, and sometimes you don't notice it, because if you do one long line of text and then someone looks at it on a mobile, it will drop down and then there'll be a massive gap between it. It's because the line height hasn't been adjusted. So watch out for that, because that's something that happens, that you put a line of text in and go, that line of text looks lovely. Think mobile. When it's reduced down, it will wrap. So it will then have a line height. So if you haven't set that line height, it's going to be, or you've set it too much, it's going to be down there. If you set it too little, it'll be overlapping the text. But again, you know, we're going to look at this, just things to point out. So this is a simple branding sheet. We're going to move on next, and we have a logo now. So just looking at different logo ideas, this was all created in Canva. I'm going to cover this sort of thing next week. And this is the colors that I've chosen for this. And you can see this was all done, little paw for the O, very, you know, obvious kind of design, but that's a kind of sheet that you could do to put a design together that we're going to cover next week in the media, because you have enough to do, guys. You've got to do all the copy. You've got to do the sitemap and the copy this week, and that's enough for you. So let's move forwards. So planning our site, as you can see, we've done so far takes a while. So it takes a while to do all this stuff before we've even got into the Zenler platform. So planning your courses should be done in the same way organized folders and clear labeling for easy access. We're concentrating on the site. Currently, we do not need to do anything at this stage, as you should now already have a clear, decisive plan. So you have that plan. You've been working through those things. You've got your sitemap. You know what pages you're going to put in. So these are tips. So don't get too, and this is a big one, don't get too hung up about colors or fonts at this stage, because you're probably going to change them later. So don't spend too long on it. Just have an idea. You can use the site yourself to test out different fonts, colors on your site. And we're going to, I'm just going to jump into the site now. We're going to come back to this slide in a second, because I want to show you how you can test things out inside the site. So let me just come out of... All right, let's go to the demo site now. So I'm going to jump into the demo site. All right. Okay, so I'm in here. I'm going to go to pages in my site. Now, I don't want to touch any of these pages. These are the default pages, not done anything with them at this stage. I just want to create a page that I can play around with colors and fonts and see which ones I like. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to go add a page. And we're just going to go and call this, let's call it branding tests. Call it whatever you like. It's not going to be an active page, and we can delete it out later. We're not going to make the page public, so no one can see this page apart from you. And we're just going to click add. It's going to ask to fill in this field. So you can just take this, copy it, paste it in there, and then just click add. This has now created that page. It's just a blank page, and it means we can play around with different ideas. So this is how you can kind of get in and play around with your colors and the fonts that you want to use for things like headings, subheadings, and these kind of things. So I'll set this page up like this, and we're going to go and add a row. So you just click in there, add a row, and inside a row, by the way, guys, each block is blue around here. You can see this blue. A block contains all of our stuff. All right. So inside a block contains a row, okay, because we need a row to put stuff in. And then inside any row is an element, which is red. Now, for different things, it's different colors, but mainly it's red. So if I now click add element, I can go and choose something like headings, and I can choose like the heading, each one, and come in here. And I can go my dog heading. Okay, so that's what I've set for the heading. So then I can come into the little gear icon and play around. So I can go the font here. Have a look. It gives you a little preview of the fonts. So you can start to play. Notice I chose the Open Sans. I could go to any of these. I'm going to choose Open Sans here. And look at the options that I get with this font style. Look at all these options. And this is why I chose it. So I've got a light version, regular, semi-bold, bold, extra bold. I've got all these options to play with. Let's click light, and you can see it changes here. Now, this is a little bit too small, I think, for a heading. So I'm going to put this in 55 over here. Okay, now it's also a bit light, so I'm going to change it to something like the semi-bold. And I'm going to say that's good. What about my color? Well, I've also got the option to change color here, and I've got the option to change line height. I'm going to show you this in a minute. So with the color, and this is where I think it was Lynn said, you can't choose many options. If I click here, you can pick any color inside of here. And these are all web colors. Notice down here that this is changing. As I move, it's giving me the new, what's called hexadecimal color for this. So if I play around and I like this color, and I'm going to go for more of a greeny type blue, that kind of color. If I like that color, I can now put that into my branding sheet. So I can go, I like that color. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to put that into my branding sheet. So I can do another document up. Let me just have a little document and go green heading. That's the color. And I can go, it's Open Sans, semi-bold, And my font size is 55. And I need to do my line height. I'm going to show you what happens with the line height in a second. So I'm going to drag that across to my other monitor. So I'm building a little branding sheet. So let me take this and I'm going to show you how the line height works. Notice down here, line height. So the only way you're going to see it is if I do a really long, lot of text. So a long line of text for it to wrap or wrap. And I've got it wrap around. Okay, so because it's jumped onto the next line, I now have the line height kicking in. You wouldn't see this if it was just on one line. So let's go down here and change this line height. So if it's at 77, so if I put this down to 58, it's gone closer. Now, some people have got this like set on like 100, you know, or even like 500 or something. So it's huge. So you can play around. So always check your line height. Make sure you're happy with it, because it's something that can be missed. Because it's like, if I had, like, I could easily miss this if I put it all onto one line like this, but then I look at this in mobile view, it could jump across to, let me go to mobile view here, see? And this is where the line height would come in. Yeah, you can see it's jumped across to there because the text is wrapped. So check the line height. And that's why I always put the line height inside of any of the documents that I do. So I put in here 58 pixels. And now I'm covered. I know the font I'm using. I know the size I'm using. I know the color I'm using. And I would come down here and I would say for headings, you can lay it out however you like. And so you can repeat that process for subtitles or strap lines or quotes, and you just repeat that process of going through it. So this can give you a way of doing it. You can also check colors, how they look on other colors. So if I wanted to make this color white and I wanted this block in the background to be this green color, I can just come into here, click in the little color, copy this color, or use the branding sheet that I just copied, that I just wrote out. And then I could come into here, go into the block. The block opens, I could go down to color, and you'll notice it saved the color down there. But if it doesn't save the color, you can just paste it in. And now I've got it as that green. Now, why has the text disappeared? Well, it's exactly the same color. So I'd need to come into the gear icon here, click in here, and I can change it into another color. And so that is for a heading. So you can do the same for something like a text. Let's go into text block. I'll just grab that text block, go into here. You might like the size. And every time you bring it in, you can see when this comes across, it's changed this to Lato. So I need to set this to Open Sans. I'm going to type open in there. And there we go. And I'm also going to change it to a regular as well. So I'm starting to build up this, and maybe I'll put this in white, this one, or maybe I'll make this 17 to make it slightly bigger. And the line height here is not bad. I'll put it to 20, and then I put that in the sheet. So you can see, and I can build new blocks in here. So if I want to use this as a base, I can duplicate this block out, and I can play around with other colors. So let's go in here and choose, once it's duplicated, come in here, go to edit. Maybe I'll choose a light gray for this. So I can choose one out of here. And then I'll go and choose maybe like a blue or something for the color. Again, I can click in here if I want to, or I can click and I can drag through the color range in here. I'm going to go for something like that. And there we go. So this is a quick way of you being able to test out and start to build your sort of font chart on colors that you're going to use and you can just do that in a word pad. Now this means if I'm creating a site, I've always got this to look at. So if I create a new page, I can just go in there and go, okay, I'm using Open Sans for headings. I'm using 55 for line height. I'm using 58, and I know the color in there as well. And it means it's a very quick way for me to get information and to be consistent throughout my site with things like line height and all these things. Now, so that's my tip for you for that. So hopefully that should help you. Are you all okay with that? Inga? Lovely. All right, let's move on to back into the presentation. And okay, so that's how we can sort of set our colors up. So you can use the site itself to test out different fonts and colors for your site. So this is really good. It means that you don't need any like Photoshop or any image editing programs. You don't even really need to use Canva to create these color swatches. You can actually do it all in your site. And so if you duplicate and add that blank page and it's unpublished, it means no one's going to see it. And it does mean that you can go in and you can play around until you get the fonts you like. Now, when you get the font sets that you want for the heading and the body, you can then set those in the branding section of the site. Now, we haven't got onto that yet, so we're not going to go to that stage. We're going to do that when we start doing all the prep work for our site. So for ideas on your site, use Google to search. So you want to start to use Google to search for sites you like the look of, the way they've laid it out. It can give you some really good ideas on stuff that's going on. So if I just come out of this a second, and we go into Google, type in dog training, you can have a look through here. And you can find sites you like the look of. So I've got like the RSPCA site or Dogs Trust. And you can go in there and it can give you an idea of some of the colors that they're using. So they use this kind of orange color for the orange yellow for the Dog Trust with black on the logo. And they're using green. So we're not far off with our color palette that we were picking. And the rest is kind of a dark gray. So if you like the look of this site, you can then make your site look a little bit like it. Now, it's not cheating. You're not trying to copy the site. You're just trying to get inspiration, because you're not designers. So you want to try to get a site that's really well known and looks great. And you want to make it look a bit like that so that you're looking professional. And you'll see on all of these sites that they stick to the same font. So they've got a heading font here. It'll stay the same throughout the site. And you'll see that this size will change and its site should be very consistent. With this site, I have got a problem because these are not the same size as this. And they can get away with it in here because they've got it separate blocks. But I would say try to keep it the same throughout. Just looks more consistent. For me, looking at this, I look at that and wonder why it's not the same size as that, just from my point of view. But there's lots of places you can look. So you can look at other sites on here, RSPCA site, for instance, the colors that they're using. So you can get a real feel for it. And you guys have already got your logo. You might even see some sites and go, actually, do you know what? I want to change my logo. I want to change some of the colors in my logo. It's that big a deal. When you look at other inspirational sites from some of the big people that are doing this stuff, then sometimes it alters the way that you're thinking. So what you thought might look good can turn out that you change it completely because you no longer think it looks good. I mean, that's a natural thing. When you start looking at your logo for long enough, you kind of get bored with it. But this can give you another way of getting a fresh approach on it. So definitely make sure that you go in there and check the other sites that are using this. So here we go, back in here. Oh, hold on, guys. Okay, here we go. So look at other sites, find your unique selling point, what you can deliver, others cannot. We all have unique skills, find them and use them to promote yourself. So these are really good. I find that when you go to these sites and they've got a lot of information on them, it can be a bit of information overload. But if you've got particular skills, if you can sum that up in one line of text, then it can be like straight on the site and it can be used for a call to action to get people to buy into your site. So think about what you excel at, what you think you should want to be known for, and use that as a USP. So your homework for this week is plan what you want to do, a membership site, a single course, or both. You need to think about your site's future. So future-proofing your site. What are you going to do in the future? Are you going to be turning it into a membership site? Are you going to open it up? For you guys that are pro and premium users, you know, you have 3 sites or 10 sites with the premium. So you might think, right, I want to start with this site, and then later on, I want to use one of my other sites purely as a membership site. Well, this can be good because if you're one site, you're selling your courses as individual courses, and the other site, you're just using it as a membership site for people to talk, get together, as a private discussion area, as well as adding content for them, a bit like Patreon. You know, you're creating that kind of membership, kind of like a Patreon site, but you're selling courses on a single site. So you're using you're using 2 of your things to sell. I'm going through that at the moment. I'll quickly show you what I'm doing with my business, and then you can kind of understand it, I think. Okay, right, so let me go into the next one. Okay, so my business at the moment that I'm running is a site called courses.mojomojo.design. That's courses, it's a subdomain. My actual domain is mojomojo.design, and that's a WordPress site. I'm bringing it all over into Zenler, but at the moment it's a subdomain. So this is where I'm selling my courses. So all my courses are in here, and any of the workshops that I'm running. So you'll see you can enroll through to all of these workshops, and you'll see it's all 3D related. But I was like, this is kind of set in stone. I'm selling individual courses and they're doing really well at it, making good money from it, and running workshops as well. But I wanted a kind of membership site that had a bit more communication and a bit more, I wanted to bring in experts to chat and talk, and I wanted to go off in a different direction with my kind of art. Instead, this is very much jewelry based and stuff, but I'm kind of from sculpting, character sculpting background. So I created with my second site on this same thing. With my second site, I've just started creating this new site called Biomechanica. So this is a holding page. The site's not been created yet. And this is what I want you guys to do. So we're going to be creating a holding page next week. We're going to be doing the media creation, but we're also going to create the holding page. So this is a page, there's no header and footer. You'll see that I've got 2 areas in this site, Biomechanica, which is a fusion of organic and mechanical parts to create sort of unique designs. And also I've got Biomachina, which is like machine parts and organic. So kind of, if you guys know about steampunk and stuff, it's kind of that look. But there's no footer and there's no header. But there is a little opt-in form. And because I want to break people away, I want to know if they're interested in the Mechanica or the Machina, I've given a form on both. So are they interested in this one or this one? So when they come in and register, they're tagged with Mechanica or Machina if they fill this form out. So already I know they're in there. Now, I haven't released this yet. I'm going to be sending an email out to all my people on my main site here. And I'm going to be saying, look, I'm doing this new thing. Jump across, put your email in there, and then they'll fill up in there. And then when I'm ready to launch, so I've created my site, created my first course in each department, then I can then say enter with the subscription. for either both sections or one or the other. So that's my site, how it's working. So although originally didn't future-proof this site, turning it into a membership site, I'm using the second site to do what I want to achieve now. So it's never too late to make these big decisions and changes, just so you know. So let's jump back into the course creators bit again. Okay. So, right. So with here now, so we're going to go through here. You're going to set up, you're going to plan what you want to do, future-proof your site. You're going to set up your folder structure, try and tidy up that desktop, or just have that folder somewhere where everything that you're doing in these workshops is all in that area, so it's easy to find. Get your copy ready for any of the pages. I know some of you might have more pages, some of you might have less. Get view branding and design course for Avatar, which I showed you earlier, the branding and design course. Just watch those 2 videos. They're not very long. And get a logo created, or you can do it next week in next week's workshop. Get a simple branding sheet completed, like I just sort of showed you, like that. Okay. Set up payments. So inside of your system, you're going to need, when we do get onto creating a course, you're going to need to set up the payment. So if you guys are using free, you can free version of Zenler, you can integrate with Stripe. So you need to set that account up now. For you guys that have got Pro and Premium, you might want to set up Stripe and PayPal. And the sooner you do this, the better. If you're new to this, get that account set up, especially with PayPal, because PayPal take a while before they validate things. So people have had problems and they posted, sometimes it's perfectly fine, but in some cases, PayPal actually holds the money and doesn't release it to you for a certain amount of time or transactions, and then they release it to you. It's just to make sure that it's a fraud thing on PayPal. PayPal makes things up as they go along. So if you set it up now, it means that you're kind of ready for it, that the account is in good standing and you're ready for it. Look at sites you like, I've already talked about. Get images you like. So a good place to get images is jump across to something like Pixabay. So if we go into Pixabay, Pixabay is free. So let me go to Pixabay. You can sign in for this and you can play around and find images. So if I want to find some dog training, doggy pictures, let's click some dogs. And down here, I have lots of lovely dogs. So if I wanted to download this one, you log in here, absolutely free, click in here, and I can go free download. Now, I always download the biggest size possible, and I'll be talking about this next week and why. But you can just click download, and it will download there into your download folder. And there it is there. And I can take that now, and I can drop that into my images folder. So I've got my images folder there. Okay, let me just bring this down a bit. And I can just get that ready in there. And there he is. So go and grab some good images, and you'll be ready. You might use them, you might not use them, but you're just looking at different images. So we're going to create the holding homepage that I just talked about. And we're going to also set yourself up as a test student. So I'm going to be doing all that next week. And also make sure you're enrolled in the course. There is the course again, guys. It's free. And that's it. So that is enough for you to do. I'm going to now give you the PDF so you can look at the homework section, which is here. And let me just close this down and put the homework here. So this is the PDF. So download this. It will also be inside the course as well, and you'll see it in there. And that's going to get updated every week. So next week, if you've got all that information together, you know, don't stress about it. If you don't finish it all, don't worry. Just try to get some content, and at least then you can start building the pages and you add to more content as you go along. But if you can get these things set up, simple things set up, like the folder structure, you had a look at other sites, you know, you maybe started to think about logos, these kind of things, you'll be in a really good place for next Sunday's live. where we're talking all about media and media sizes and things that you have to, you know, to make things look beautiful. And then the week after, we're actually going to start hitting the site. Now, when we actually start to do the site, it's going to be, we're going to be creating your site in one session. It'll be a 2-hour live, but we will finish the site. So I'll be doing a site live, that demo site. I'll be turning it into a dog training site. I'll be showing you, I'll be telling you about how I thought about it going through and what images I grabbed. And then you should be able to take that and basically do identical to what I'm doing to build your site if you haven't built anything. For you guys that have already built your site, you might think about changing the way that it looks based on what we're going to cover. Because we're going to be looking at things like responsiveness as well and things like that. So that is it, guys. So awesome information. Oh, good. I'm glad it's helped, Axel. So thank you. Are you all good? Are you all good with this stuff? You can start your, you can chat to me if you want to. You don't have to. No questions? Yeah, this week is very simple. It's going to be some of the sessions when we start working with the site, not so much the site. I'm sure you're going to have questions with the page builder because a lot of people are like, they don't understand it properly. So once you see me working, you saw how quick I did that branding thing in the page. Just go to that gear icon. You can change all these things. If you set up that blank page, play around. The best way to learn is to play around with this stuff. So you're going to see me actually building things, because we can do things like animating stuff. We're also going to build the holding page, like that Biomechanica page you saw. We're going to create a holding page for you, and we're going to put a form in there. It's really quick, guys, and that's going to be set as your home page. And what that means is that no one can get access to any of the other pages. So you can freely work on them in your own time, knowing that you have the page on your site set up where people can put their email and their name in there, and they will be signed up. So when you come to launch, you can then send an email to all those people that have come through your site. Now, I know we haven't marketed the site yet. We're going to get onto all that stuff later. But it does mean if someone accidentally lands on your page and they're interested, they have the ability to be captured as leads. Yeah? So it's clear. That's what we want to do. The first thing we want to do is get that page done so that people can go in there and they have the ability to sign up. At the moment, you're going to have like a demo page, and it's not helping anybody. So you've got that page set up. Let me just go across to there. That's your page. So that's not helping anyone. It tells nobody, and people are thinking, oh, I've made a mistake. I'm on the wrong site. So our first priority is to unconnect the header, the footer, and just to get this inner page done, just like we did with the Biomechanica site, so that people can see something and go, yeah, I'll type my things in there. We don't want to put it here. Also, having this page like this sets up a kind of bit of a risk, because people can come into the site, like this demo site, and they can create an account. So they can go, oh, sign up. I don't know what this site is about, but I'll just put my name in there and do. And then you've captured them, but they're not there for you. They're just there because they're just maybe spamming you or those kind of things. So as soon as we disconnect all this and just have it as that single holding page or maintenance page, okay, you can then set it as that, and it's really easy to do. And that's what we're going to cover next week with our media creation part of the course as well. So I do expect next week there to be a lot of questions, because you're going to be, if you've done the homework and been looking at images and other sites, you're going to be like, oh, I've seen this site. Have a look at this site. How do I do that kind of thing? So there's going to be a lot of questions coming in based on what you're looking at. And that's how we're going to build it. Each week, you're going to get to the end of it, have homework to do. Then you're going to look at that, and you're going to have a ream of questions to ask me from the following week's workshop and from the questions that I'm giving you at the time. So that's how it's working. I'm super excited to get into this one. I think you guys are going to love it, especially when we start to get into like the course creation side of things and creating a membership site and, you know, having control of the system. I want there to be a moment of clarity for you all to realize that oh, I can do what I want with this system, because I know I can do anything with Zenler, but I'm at that stage. And I want you to get to that stage where you go, oh, I can do that. That's easy. I know how to set that up. I know what to do with that. I know how to modify that. That's what I'm aiming for. So I'm aiming for you guys, if you stick with these lives, to ask lots of questions from me, because I'm here, and also to have this moment of clarity that you will definitely in a few weeks' time. You'll just be like, this is super easy, especially if you guys have used other platforms. I'm not saying any names, but you know the ones I'm talking about. So great to see you. Thanks for turning up, guys. And I will see you next Sunday for the media creation part of the course. This live that we're doing now, this will go into the replay probably tomorrow morning. Also, I will put the PDF on there as well if you haven't downloaded it. So good. Do you guys want me to download the chat and put it in there as well? Because I can, at this stage, I can put the chat up with the video. There hasn't been many questions in here, so it's probably not worth it, but I can put the chat in there so you can download it. That's the Zoom chat. Question as above. Oh, question as above. Judy asked me a question. Don't we have the email system in Zenler set up for people to join my site? Sorry, Judy. So don't we have the email system in Zenler set up for people to join my site? Sorry, I don't understand. Can you unmute yourself?
My audio. Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, Judy.
Hi, David. So excited to meet you here personally. Yeah, actually, I have two questions. I put them twice in the chat. The first one was about the email. You were speaking about get your site set up so that people can join the site on. You can send them an email afterwards when it's all ready. So does that mean we have to have this Zenler email system set up so that people can put their email into the email system, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But what we're going to be doing is we're inside Zenler, we have the registration form, and this is where public people can come in there and just register for your site.
Okay.
But we're not going to use that, because when people do register for your site and they come in as registered users, they actually come in as students. Now, for reasons that I'm going to talk about when we get into the actual site build, which I'm not going to talk about now because I don't want to confuse you, we want them to come in on the holding page, that form, like the biomachiner. We want to come
that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, it's really easy. It's really easy, Judy. All we do is we're going to set we're going to create a little inline form, and when people register, they're going to come into the system, but they're going to come into the system as leads. They are not going to be coming in as students or registered users.
Okay.
So it means you've captured them in your system to be able to send them an email out. You can also tag them as well. We're going to talk about that next week.
Okay.
But it's really quick to do. And I'm going to be talking to you about there's a lot of things that people leave active that I personally don't think they need it active, like the registration. I don't like, I know some people do, but I don't like people just being able to register on the site, because what's the point of that? It's like, if they're coming in, I want to actually grab them. If they want to register because they're interested in something, I'd rather they come in as leads and not get access to the logged in pages.
Right.
So because then I control it. The only people that are registered users in my site have paid money for my courses.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. Now I understand. So there's going to be a special, an extra place where people you can just grab their emails, and that will come in a certain place in the email system. Is that correct? Or just somewhere in the system?
Yeah. Well, two places. Well, one, you can actually drive them into an email list if you want. You can also tag them coming in. So you tag them with like a marker. Let's just say, let's just say the tag is red. On another
Okay.
form, you could tag them with blue. Now, if you were
Okay.
sending an email, you could email people based on the tag. So you say, for instance, you only wanted to email people that have got the blue tag, you can do that.
Okay.
You can actually filter them. So
Mm-hmm.
only the red, or a mixture of both, or only people
Okay.
that have enrolled in a course. So we got all these ways of filtering, and that when we get onto forms and funnels, it's going to blow your mind with what you can do.
Well, I haven't even taken a look at the email part of it yet. That's something I haven't even looked at. So that was one of my questions. I have a second question, David, and you were talking about you should plan beforehand if you want to have a membership site or just a course site. And I wasn't quite sure what the difference is. Maybe I do want to have a membership site, but I'm not quite sure what that is. Is that for afterwards when I have all my courses set up and people want to buy my course and then they can just come into the membership site, or is that a place where the courses are?
Yeah, well, just to confuse you more, Judy, it's kind of a bit of both. You could, like, some people, they have a very clear idea of what they're doing. If they're therapists or like dog trainers, and that's why this is all kind of dog training, because I've had a lot of questions come up, so I know it covers everything. They're very clear with, they want a membership site, they want a subscription site. You know, they want to run one-to-one lives. They're very clear on that. They don't particularly want to sell, especially therapists. They don't particularly want to sell courses. They want to get people into sessions. So it's normally a membership or a subscription to something. So it's up to you. You can have the best of both worlds. You can still run a membership site and you can run individual courses.
Okay.
And you could still run lives as well, and paid for lives.
Yeah.
So, you know, all this stuff you can do later. But like, for instance, like I said to you, when I first run my course, when I first run my Mojo site, I just wanted, because I'd come straight from Udemy, I just was I was just using what Udemy does, which is basically just to sell courses. So I had that mindset. So I just kept putting courses up, and now it's a one-off payment, but some of my courses are massive and I want to make them like evergreen. So I'm adding to them all the time, but I can never take new money from those people that have bought it on a one-off pricing, because they're in there. So I'm like, well, I want, this course is like the biggest on the internet on jewelry design in ZBrush. And I really need to get people contributing regularly.
Yeah, I get it.
Do you see? So that's why I set up the Biomachine and Biomechanica, because they will be pure subscription sites. I could do it in my site at the moment, but I can't. I don't want to upset all my jewelers that are in there. And I know a lot of them are waiting for my next course to come along, so they will jump across into it. So I'm not that worried. But if I'd have thought about it at the beginning, I would have set it up as a subscription and then sold each, because the jewelry course, for instance, has about 36 full workshops in it. I could have sold each of those 36 individually and had the master membership subscription or payment plan as a self-contained course.
Yeah.
So I kind of, you know.
Yeah, I get it. So you can actually do both though, right? Like I have a lot of 5-day challenges that I want to set up as evergreen, as a low price course, just getting into my world. So I would use that on the membership area, right?
Yeah, you could, if you had lots of those. I mean, that's like a little bit like Kevin's boot camps that we've got in the tutorials.new Zenler. So it's kind of like all the courses in there. You can see that's kind of, that tutorial site runs as a membership site. I know it's free, everything's free in there, but you join up to that NZ Masterclass bundle and you get access to all of those courses, what 15 courses or something that are all in there. So they are self-contained courses, but they're in a bundle.
Okay, yeah.
So
well, I would like to sell them separately, like a 5-day challenge on just vocal. I'm a vocal coach and a jazz singer, and I want to sell my 5-day challenges. I've created about 4 or 5 of them. They're all finished, and I could just sell them separately. So I wouldn't want to put that in the course area, right? I would put that in the membership area. Is that correct?
No, if you want to sell each of the workshops separately, you'll have them as individual courses. But if you also want people to buy into all of them to get access to all of your courses, you could create a bundle and put all of the courses in there. So you could use the best of both worlds. So what I'm doing anyway, Judy, is because I'm doing this dog training site, that's exactly what we're doing. We're going to do that because I'm going to start with showing you how to create a course. Then I'm going to create a couple more courses. Okay, I'm not going to go through and show you each of the courses. I'm going to work on one and I'm going to repeat them. And then I'm going to show you how we can sell those courses as individual courses and as a bundle or a membership site.
Okay, do they have to be a bundle in the membership area?
If you're creating a membership area, using bundles is the most flexible method of being able to do things. But we haven't, Judy, we haven't got to that yet. So I think, you know, when we do get to that, you're going to see that bundles don't just contain a series of courses. Bundles allow you the ability to really open up your site into different pages that people have bought through. That will not make sense to you yet, but it will, because I'm following a set of from the live workshop they did last time, and it makes things very easy for people to follow. I've got lots of graphics to show you and things, so you can visualize what's going on. By me talking to you, a lot of you guys are sitting there probably going, "Oh my God, what?" because talking about it is harder than actually showing you a bit of graphics and showing you how a user goes through something.
Yeah, it's just because you said in the our homework that we should think about what we want, and if we want to have a membership. Well, to tell you the truth, I wasn't quite sure up until now what exactly the difference is with the two. So I wouldn't be able to decide yet whether I want to have a membership or just a course. But anyway, I think I understand better now, and I will be patient until we get to the details. I'm just setting up my site right now, and so this is also very, very exciting. Thank you so much for your time and your effort giving these wonderful trainings. Thank you.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, Judy, well, you know, guys, we're also going to run through all the different pricing plans, so that will make a goal. But when I say, like, have a think about how you want your site to run, just try and sort of put it into, like, you know, if you just want to sell courses, you just got a series of courses, it's going to be really easy. But if you're just thinking, oh, maybe I'll turn it into like a membership site and those sort of things, then we can get really complicated with this stuff. You can get really, really, really complicated with it. And that's what I want to take away from you. And that's why I've created these graphics and things. If you are in the stage where you don't really know, you might want to have your site as a membership, and you might want to take payment or subscriptions, or you might want to do payment plans or these things, and you're not sure, don't launch your site yet until you've run through these workshops, because it could save you a lot of time later and potentially money as well by understanding all these things. Like Judy was saying, she's not sure which to go with. Like, do I go for a membership? What's the options with that? We're not up to that yet. When we do cover that, with memberships, we might even be covering it over 2 Sunday sessions, because it's one of those things that people need to understand really well. And the last students I run through it, they all understood it 100% when I'd finished, and were actually answering questions on the Facebook group because they knew the answers to this stuff. So like I said to you, there's a moment of clarity where you're like, oh, right, it's not that hard. And like everything in life, you know, nothing's ever as hard as you think it's going to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I tell that to my vocal students too. They say, oh, I can't do that. I can't sing that. And I said, of course you can. Just try it, you know.
Yeah.
We always think that we don't know as much as we really do know. We know much, much more than we really think we know.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like you've got to, you know, you've got to try things as well, even if you know, someone's singing and their voice breaks or something, they're trying to reach a note or something. Well, at least they know their limitations. If they never try, they never know.
Exactly.
And they never achieve. That's it. But
Yeah.
really good to know. See you all, guys. I hope you all join me each
Thank
week.
you.
And if you can't make it, remember, guys, if you can't make it, go into that course, check the replay. Okay. If you've got any questions, put it into the community that's in the course as well. Yeah. And I'm always here for you. I take people that are coming through my live Sundays, they get special attention from me. So if you have any questions, you need answers or anything, you can PM me on my Facebook, you know, on Messenger. Quite happy for you to do that, guys, because you're coming through this course. So if you've got any questions relating to the course, then I can answer them if you need it. Yeah. All right. So have a lovely Sunday morning, afternoon, evening, and I will see you next week for the media creation, which will be real fun. You're going to love it, guys. See you later.